Roughly 7 years ago, Lexus was late to the compact luxury SUV party with the original NX. Now, despite the NX's tardy appearance, it grew to become Lexus's second best-selling model in this crossover-obsessed world that we live in the US market. Now, of course, for 2022, Lexus was forced to give the NX a full redesign, and while I've already had a chance to drive and spend a week with the range-topping NX 450h, the plug-in hybrid, this week, as you can see, Lexus has loaned me the mid-pack model. This is an NX 350 equipped with the new 2.4-liter turbocharged engine that replaces the old 2-liter turbo. It's designed to basically be the sweet spot within the NX family. So if you guys have been searching for a compact luxury SUV that's packed full of technology, reliability, comfort, and practicality, how does this completely redesigned NX 350 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this review to give a brief shout out to the sponsor of this video, Keeps. Now, what exactly is Keeps? Well, they're an online subscription service that provides doctor-recommended hair loss treatment plans. Because they are online, they offer 24/7 support and proven results. I should know because I've been using Keeps for well over 2 years, and let me tell you, it's one of the best products out there that allows you to keep the hair that you still have left on your head. The other best thing about Keeps is it's super easy to fit into your daily routine. Every day I take one of these small pills once in the morning, and then twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, I'll use this mousse in my hair. And like I said, it's just super easy to fit into my daily life. So what are you waiting for, guys? Hair loss stops now with Keeps, and in order to save up to 50% off of your first order, be sure to go to www.keeps.com/redline, or you can also just visit the link in the description below. And now, let's get back to the video. Now, before we talk about the exterior styling of this very aggressive-looking NX 350 F Sport, I want to talk about, of course, the powertrain, because that's what makes this model kind of unique in the NX lineup, because even though this vehicle is based off of the RAV4 platform, this powertrain is a unique engine and you can only get it on the Lexus. Now, this of course replaces the old 2-liter turbo engine that you found in the previous generation NX 300, and I also suspect this powertrain will start to replace the naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 that you find in the current generation RX 350 and perhaps even the Toyota Camry. This is the company's new 2.4-liter direct injection turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that makes 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. If you're keeping score, that's about 40 more horsepower versus the outgoing 2-liter and about 60 more pound-feet of torque. This makes way more torque as well versus the naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 that you find in the current generation Lexus RX. It goes out through an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission. Of course, that's a Lexus design transmission. And this powertrain comes standard with all-wheel drive. If you guys want a front-wheel drive NX, you have to downgrade to the NX 250, which has the same 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder from the RAV4. I highly recommend skipping that. All the hybrid versions come with all-wheel drive as standard. Now, fuel economy for this model is rated at 22 in the city, 28 on the highway. It does go down slightly by 1 mpg if you guys go for the F Sport package. And because this is a crossover, this will still tow a maximum of 2,000 pounds. Lexus claims 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. We'll be testing out that claim, of course, when I strap it to my 0 to 60 timing equipment. And Lexus also claims this new NX is about 170 pounds lighter versus the previous generation. However, as this one sits, it weighs in at just over 4,000 pounds, which is about 200 pounds heavier versus the last generation NX 300 F Sport that I tested. Now let's go ahead and shut the hood because I do want to talk about the styling very briefly. This one here is painted in a very appropriate shade of Redline red. This beautiful red pretty much looks like it was designed, I guess, to appeal to this channel, but regardless, with the F Sport package, you can really tell it looks incredibly stunning. I actually really like the lines of this vehicle a lot more in a brighter color. You can see my tester has the optional premium triple beam full LED headlights with LED cornering lights. You can see the LED daytime running light is no longer divorced from the headlight module. You have an LED turn signal there above it. You have the 3 diodes for the full LED low and high beams. And then the F Sport model also gives you unique looking fog lights. They're LED fog lights. And then you can see the massive spindle grille with the intricate L's that it creates with the black piano black finish is unique to the F Sport model. You've got the big Lexus badge over there that houses the sensor for the radar cruise control. You also have a front camera right below it. And then you can see some of the extra grille openings in the silver front lip. Definitely make this car stand out. In fact, I haven't had a chance to really see an NX in a bright color like this, so when Lexus dropped this car off, I was actually pretty pleased with the styling. It looks a lot better versus the boring gray plug-in hybrid that I had just a couple months ago. Now looking around the side profile, you can see this vehicle is about 2 inches longer versus the previous generation NX, and it's about 3 inches longer than the current generation RAV4 at 183.5 inches long. Its wheelbase is about 1.5 inches longer as well versus the previous generation NX, because this is built off of the TNGA-K platform that also underpins the RAV4. Now, of course, when you guys go for the F Sport model, you get these gorgeous looking 20-inch wheels. You can see they're a black finish. They're wrapped in these Bridgestone 235/50 series tires. These are the biggest wheels that you can get on an NX. I'm surprised actually that the diameter of the rim of the tire is not larger, it's not fatter, but you can see the brakes. I would have liked to see Lexus do kind of a painted caliper to kind of give this car like a red painted caliper. It would have just really accented the rest of the lines of the vehicle quite well. In terms of the rest of the proportions, you can see the side profile definitely looks very familiar for an NX. In fact, a lot of you who have the previous generation may not even think this looks all that different, although I do think that the side lines are a little bit cleaner this year. I also like how the F Sport model gives you a very subtle F Sport badge over here. You've got these black painted mirrors over here with the integrated turn signals, which look nice. These very flush mounted black painted roof rails. You can see my tester also has a panoramic sunroof for an extra $500. The F Sport model also kind of blacks out the chrome, although it's not a full kind of black look to the actual window trim. The door handles, you can see, also have a little bit more black trim. They're just like the other NXs where they look like traditional door handles, but when you actually want to open them, they don't move. Instead, there's a pressure pad on the back. Push that pressure pad and it's got that digital latch door handle that allows you to open up the door. Now looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see the biggest change is probably from the rear end. You have the new Lexus taillight system here where it's got that full length LED taillight. You've got the new Lexus badge here that instead of putting the L, it just kind of spells it out. I'm starting to get used to that, but I still kind of prefer just a traditional badge. You can see the taillights are a little bit more blended into the rear in this Redline color, but you can see there's an LED turn signal over there, LED reverse light, full LED tail light. There's no F Sport badge here on the back, which is something they used to put on the previous generation, so I guess they're kind of going for a cleaner look. Instead, you just have NX 350 with an all-wheel drive badge, and then down here, I'm surprised, no dual exhaust tips. Lexus kind of hides it underneath the rear bumper now. I would have liked to see that change on the F Sport model. Now opening up the cargo area, that was kind of a weakness of the previous generation NX. You can see the new one, they've increased the space back here by about 5 cubic feet. You get just under 23 cubic feet of space, which is nice. You do have this really nicely finished metal trim over here as you get into the cargo area. And then when you lift this up here, you can see pretty deep storage well with another storage well back there. So there's some good underfloor storage. If you fold down the second row seats, remember this car doesn't offer a third row, it expands it to about 47 cubic feet of space, which is actually about 5 cubic feet less than the previous generation when you fold the seats down. But in return, you get more underfloor storage and you get a bigger cargo area when you have the seats actually up. So let's move on to the interior of the completely redesigned NX. The first thing I want to show you guys is the Lexus key fob. You can see their smart key access system does come standard. There's no remote start on the fob. This is actually a pretty old key. It feels nice, it looks nice. It is a little bit large, but I'm surprised Lexus hasn't done a larger key. Lexus does have the ability to use their Lexus Connect app. That's kind of the newer app that I've also used on Toyotas, where you can remote start the vehicle from the app. You can also check on the vehicle status. You could ping the car. That is, of course, part of the new Lexus interface system that you get with this new NX, and it's something that I think owners are going to really enjoy. Now, as you approach the vehicle, you can see, like I said earlier, this door handle looks very conventional, but there's actually a pressure pad on the back. Push that pressure pad, that opens the digital latch door handle, and you can see my tester has a lot of red. It's very Redline specific, of course, with the Redline exterior, with the circuit red New Lux leather that you get with the F Sport package. You can see it's got like a two-tone look with the black and the red and the contrasting stitching. It's probably a little too much red for my taste. Surprisingly, if you guys want this red, it only comes with red on the outside, or red on the inside, or black on the inside. I would have liked to see their black or rich cream and black interior color combination for this Redline exterior. But you can see the door panel also looks pretty nice. My tester has the 17-speaker Mark Levinson stereo system for an extra $1,000 with 1,800 watts. It sounds pretty good, not quite as good as the system that I've heard in the Genesis or the Acura RDX. You can see the door panel. I'm surprised to see that Lexus didn't use nicer materials on the new NX. You can see this is a soft touch plastic. You have like an aluminum look for some of the plastic. You can get like a nice matte finish wood on luxury models. You can see there's also a nice padded area here where this feels nice. some more aluminum look trim. The window controls feel pretty high quality and tactile. This is all pretty much what I expect from Lexus. This, I think, could have been nicer. The seats, you can see, they adjust in 12 different ways. They offer a 3-person memory. These are heated and cooled seats, which you get on most models. And then the steering wheel, you can see, has been completely redesigned. Where you have this new 14-inch touchscreen and you have a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. The F Sport model also gives you unique floor mats and those really nice aluminum look pedals. Now getting inside, this has a really easy step-in height, of course, because it's an SUV. And then once you get in, you can see everything is kind of circulated by, or everything's kind of built around this infotainment screen, which is very kind of driver focused. Now as I get in and shut the door, you can hear the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, which this is built off of the TNGA-K platform. And then when you want to fire up the engine, the start stop button is right here at the very top. Push that button, you can hear it has a new Lexus chime. You have 2 digital displays. There's like a 7 or 8-inch screen over here in the instrument panel, which looks pretty small and dated, honestly. That is slightly customizable. And then of course you have the massive 14-inch screen here, which I've already had a chance to test in a lot of Toyota and Lexus products, which you should be expecting to see this, of course, in all of their upcoming models. This is the new Lexus interface that is built and designed by the American team in Dallas, Texas. So again, all great stuff. Now in terms of the dashboard, you can see the same kind of soft touch injection molded plastic. Again, I would have liked it to be stitched in leather. Same thing over here over the airbag cover, and then you can see the passenger door handle or door panel looks pretty much the same. My Tester is missing, annoyingly, the digital rear view camera mirror, which for an extra $200 on other trims would have been nice. This has a nice frameless design, but surprisingly, I don't think it's available on this gas-powered F Sport model. That's something that I've seen on the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid, but not this specific model, which is weird. The steering wheel offers a power tilt telescoping ability with lots of different adjustability. I also get paddle shifters on the wheel. You have these touch sensitive kind of buttons here where you can see when I push this little right side of the pad, it actually shows what I'm actually highlighting. You can also push this. You can change it to be changing a couple of displays. Same thing on the other side where I can change the audio, or I can also change the mode and skip and forward and track. This 10-inch heads-up display also is part of the luxury package. It also looks good. That's something that you can't get on most trims of the RAV except for the very highest trim, so that's something to keep in mind. This right here is slightly interchangeable. If I change the drive modes, you can see it changes the gauge display. It goes to Sport and then the Sport Plus. I actually really like how it puts the tack at the very top. Push to go to normal, and then it also has an eco mode where it kind of gives you a blue tint. If you're looking for something a little bit more intricate like what Audi offers, or even what Genesis offers, Lexus surprisingly doesn't do that. This new Lexus interface, however, looks nice in terms of the screen resolution. I wish that it didn't have so much piano black plastic. It kind of makes it look a little bit cheap as opposed to more luxury. The Genesis GV70 and even the Acura RDX feel more luxurious than this. There are some areas where you have some nice real stitching with the new Lux here on this portion of the center console. Same thing with the center console lid. You have a wireless phone charging pad there, 2 USB ports, and then what I really like about this car is there's like 2-level storage. If you want to slide this back, you can put your phone back there and you kind of hide it underneath there, which is a nice touch. And then you have cup holders over here with your electronic shifter. Now, push this over here into reverse. You can see there's the full top-down 360 camera, which Lexus has done a good job with the graphics and the resolution. You can also turn on and off the parking sensors if you'd like, give you a different view. This is nice, although some competitors like the Genesis offers like a full 360 perimeter scan. So I do think that Lexus could do better there. I also like the way the CarPlay looks, where you have it in the full CarPlay mode right now. You can see really big crystal clear screen, which looks fantastic. I also like how the climate pretty much stays right here. This doesn't change on this lower portion. So this is a really nicely done system. You can even go here to climate. You can adjust certain things. If you want to go back to the Lexus system, you can go here to settings. The one thing I wish this thing had was like a home button. It doesn't have a home page. There's not really a home page. Instead, you kind of pick which source you want, and it's always just going to look like this, basically. I mean, right now it's settings. You can also go to car, you can go to phone, you can go to music, go back to Apple CarPlay. So that's something to keep in mind, but it works fairly well. And I also love the fact that it's a wireless CarPlay. That's something that you can't get in the Genesis GV70, for example. The Acura RDX offers it, but you have a much smaller screen by 4 inches almost compared to the Lexus. The one thing about this car that I also really like, when you're going over to the settings here, you can go to vehicle customization. This car does have the thematic interior illumination ambient lighting, which in this car, I must say, there are 14 different themes, which is nice. There's even a custom mode. However, when I see this vehicle at night, just like the plug-in hybrid that I tested, it is rather disappointing in terms of the lighting. You just have a little bit of ambient lighting on the door panel, on the actual door handle, and in the footwell lighting, but this area here is almost completely blacked out aside from the bright screen here and the bright screen there. So I would have liked to see a little bit more detail in the ambient lighting. I think Acura, I think Genesis, I think the Germans did a better job there, but at least Lexus gives you some kind of ambient lighting, which is to be expected in this segment. There's also embedded GPS, which my tester doesn't have the GPS working on it right now. The audio information is all right here. You can adjust your different sources and whatnot. And it's all, again, very quick, very snappy, very easy to use. Over here, you can see there are a couple of other buttons here for the auto start stop. You've got an off-road mode over here for the all-wheel drive system, and electronic parking brake. And then your drive modes are over here again, where you kind of twist this little dial here to go into the different drive modes that you like. We'll talk about that later on in the driving scene. This is a nice padded armrest over here where you can see, open it up, it offers a deep amount of storage, which is nice. The seats are also very aggressively bolstered. They look good. They hold you in place nicely. The heated and cooled seat works well, which I like. The driver's seat is or the passenger seat's also a 12-way adjustable, but no memory. The glove box you can see is big. It's a bin style. It's damped and it's lined with felt. Above me, there's some nice LED lighting, and then this panel roof is a $500 extra charge. I'd highly recommend it. Really adds in or lets in a lot more light into this cabin. So overall, the tech in this car is definitely good. It feels a little bit on the cramped side. I would have preferred something a little bit more spacious feeling because the dash is so high. Materials are just average, which is a shame because Lexus usually is at the top of its game for that. But really, it is still a nice place to spend time, and it's a huge upgrade over a RAV4 or the old NX. Checking out the back seat of the new NX, you can see Lexus did offer or add more interior space for the backseat passengers, but it's still not class leading. You get just under 37 inches of legroom back here, which is about 1.5 inches less versus the RAV4, but it is an improvement, of course, over the previous generation. You can see that red, circuit red Nulux leather carries over. The door panel also is the same kind of material as the front, still kind of a cheaper material for this upper door panel, but the Mark Levinson stereo, the speakers look nice, although Lexus doesn't do any kind of an illuminated speaker. Getting back here, you can see at 5'7", I do have a fairly good amount of space. I can actually get comfortable here pretty well. The floor isn't completely flat, but it's not super high where you could put a middle passenger over here. Lexus has 2 storage pockets. You have rear seat air vents. You have dual USB-C charging ports, an actual 12-volt over there, which is nice. And then you can see here, fold this down. It gives you an armrest with 2 cup holders, more LED lighting back here. The panel roof comes over the back seats, which lets in some more light. And overall, aside from missing heated back seats back here, it's a fairly nice place to spend time. Just remember, some competitors do offer a little bit more legroom versus the Lexus. So when I first drove the NX 350, remember, this is the mid-pack engine, the new turbocharged engine that replaces the old 2-liter. This 2.4-liter turbo is going to start replacing the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 across the entire Lexus, maybe even Toyota lineup in the next coming years. So I've been eagerly awaiting to retest this powertrain and see what we can get in terms of performance. Lexus claims 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. Remember, this is an all-new second-generation NX. I've driven the plug-in hybrid more thoroughly. I owned a RAV4 Prime, but this is my first time having a full week with the turbocharged engine, the 2.4-liter. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna switch it over to Sport Plus. I have the transmission in drive. There's no sport mode in the transmission. I'm gonna turn the traction control off, turn off the start-stop, and we're gonna go ahead and see if this vehicle can do what Lexus claims, which is 6.6 seconds. Wow. Okay, I got 0 to 60 in 6.37 seconds. That's a lot faster than what I got with this vehicle in Phoenix back in October of last year. Now, I will say that in Phoenix, those were very early pre-production cars. It was very hot outside, like over 100 degrees. I think I got like 7.3 seconds in Phoenix. So I'm really impressed with the 6.37. That's not quite as quick as the last Genesis GV 70 2.5T or Acura RDX with the 2-liter turbo that I just tested recently, the refreshed one. But that is markedly improved acceleration. Lexus claims this new engine is about 0.5 seconds faster. So I'm actually really happy. But you know what? Let's go ahead and retest it one more time because we want to see if we can get a similar number here. So remember, we're going to brake torque it again. There's no launch control, but it does rev to 2,500. feels good. Strong mid-range torque, 6.78 seconds. So 6.37, 6.78, 6.5 seconds. That is not bad for this turbo engine, and it makes it only about a half a second slower versus the plug-in hybrid. Remember, this powertrain, you cannot get it in a RAV4, so that's the whole reason why you'd want to buy the NX is for this turbocharged engine, and this is a good turbo engine. I actually like this turbo engine a lot because of how smooth it is, how responsive it is, how much mid-range torque it has. Put my foot down here, you can feel the 8-speed auto is really quick to shift. Really good at dropping down a few gears and putting the engine in the meat of the power band. Now, the engine sound for this motor is definitely augmented. Listen to it for a second. It also will automatically upshift even though I had it in manual mode there. In terms of smoothness, I do feel slight grittiness at the upper end. When you go above 5,000, you do feel a little bit of grittiness. The 2-liter turbo in the Acura RDX and the Genesis GV70, the 2.5 turbo in the Genesis, feel a little bit smoother and feel a little bit more refined, which is surprising because Lexus is Toyota. They're known for engine refinements in usually their 6 and 8 cylinders. Their 4 cylinders tend to be a little buzzy, but this is a marked improvement over the old 2-liter, which was just sluggish for the segment. So I'm pretty pleased. This is a much better 0 to 60 performance versus what I got when I first tested this car back in October. Put my foot down here. This all-wheel drive system can send up to 50% of the power to the rear. It's definitely not the torque vectoring system that we get in the RDX. This is slightly disappointing considering my tester is the sportier option. This is the NX 350 F Sport with the basically $3,500 F Sport handling package. It does have adaptive variable suspension, so it has dynamic dampers. It's got these 20-inch black finish wheels, which the car looks good, especially in this Redline exterior color, which is very befitting of this channel. And what I like about this car is it rides really nicely, even though I have it in Sport Plus right now. I'll just go to Sport. It'll adjust the suspension, be a little bit softer, and it has a really great ride quality. I drove this car for 2 hours on my way home from the airport last night, and it was just so comfortable to drive on the highway. The seats also have a little bit more aggressive bolstering on this F Sport model. The transmission is smooth and responsive. It's not quite as quick as the 10-speed that I've tested in some of the newer Lexus products like the 3.5 twin turbo and the LS500, but obviously you get a sense that it's part of the same family with this 8-speed. It's an improvement over the 6-speed automatic. And what I like about this car, it's even though it's built off of the current generation RAV4 platform, it's their new TNGA architecture, it feels very solid. In fact, at highway speeds in this vehicle, you can be going 75, 80 miles an hour and you feel like you're going a lot slower. It handles the high speeds better versus my RAV4 Prime when I had that vehicle. If you were going 75, 80 in the RAV4, you could tell that the vehicle wasn't built for high speeds. You could tell that it was a little bit more jittery. This car feels solid. It feels planted. It's also quiet on the inside. It's got that Lexus signature quietness. Very little road, very little wind noise. The engine does have the augmented sound, which you can turn off if you go into the different drive modes. I have it in normal right now. The gauge display also changes a little bit. I like the way it looks when you switch over to Sport Plus, how it gives you the tack at the very top. But it's a little bit silly for a vehicle like this because remember, this is a family crossover. But I will say that I am much more impressed with this powertrain than I thought I was going to be. I was hugely disappointed when I first drove it in Arizona, but after driving it for a few days, on the highway, it's got plenty of passing power. The engine could be a little bit smoother at the upper ranges, but I imagine most of you won't be pushing it that hard because of all the mid-range, delicious mid-range torque this has. The transmission is also smooth. The paddles, they work okay. They actually do a pretty decent job of rev matching there. I just don't like how they upshift automatically when you forget. I just don't want it to do that for me, but it's nice, I guess, if you do forget. And in terms of visibility, this is also a pretty nice place to spend time. You can see out of everything good. The view out of the back is fine. The Lexus Safety System 3.0 in this vehicle also works well. I was trying this vehicle's driver assistance tech, and it works well. It really keeps you in the lane very nicely. It also has lane trace assist. It doesn't have the semi-autonomous, like, hands-free driving. I hope Lexus will be doing that soon. They actually are working on that, called Lexus Teammate. Not available on this car still. And in terms of fuel economy, I got about 25 mpg on the highway, mostly highway driving. Now that's going 75, 80 miles an hour. You can probably do better. In my mixed driving, this car was showing about 20 miles to the gallon. So obviously get the hybrid, which I haven't driven the regular hybrid. It's got 20 more horsepower than a RAV4 hybrid, a regular hybrid. So I highly recommend looking at that model as well if you guys are looking at this vehicle, especially because the two are roughly the same price, but the hybrid's gonna get probably double the mpg. But overall, aside from the smaller interior space that you have to deal with the NX, which they did make it slightly larger this year, the tech is great in this car. The new infotainment system is lovely. The Mark Levinson sound system sounds good. I'm actually genuinely surprised. I like this car a lot more now after testing it for a week versus when I first drove it, and because I've driven the Genesis and the Acura pretty extensively, I see exactly where this car fits. And it certainly is a top recommendation of mine if you guys are looking for a compact luxury crossover, especially if you really favor a plethora of engine choices and a great infotainment system. So last year here in America, Lexus managed to sell just over 58,000 NXs in the States, which makes it, again, the company's second best-selling model. So you guys probably realized this is a very important addition within the Lexus lineup. And I have to say, after spending a week with the more conventional NX 350, I already drove the plug-in hybrid extensively. I have to say, I actually really surprisingly liked the standard engine, or the turbocharged engine, a little bit more than I thought I would. I really like it with the F-Sport package, of course, with this Redline red and the black exterior packages. I also like the adaptive variable suspension that gives you the ability to adjust the drive modes and tailor the ride and handling characteristics. This is not the sportiest handling vehicle, but it's also a really well-rounded car. You kind of feel, you get a sense that Lexus has a little bit more experience now, of course, with tuning the steering and the suspension. The turbocharged engine offers plenty of mid-range grunt. It has a relatively decent sound, and I also got decent performance figures. 0 to 60 in about 6.4 seconds, makes it about mid-pack. And it's also slightly faster versus Lexus's 6.6 second claim, so I'm relatively happy with that. Really where the NX for me falls a little bit short is in terms of the interior space. Yes, it's more spacious versus the previous generation, but just like the old NX, this has a backseat that's a little bit more cramped versus its competitors. It has a cargo area that's a little bit more cramped versus its competitors. And I also don't like the fact that if you want to buy the plug-in hybrid model, you can't get the excellent Mark Levinson sound system in the plug-in hybrid model. And personally, I think the sweet spot within the Lexus lineup could be the regular hybrid, the NX 350h, which sadly you can't get the F-Sport package on the regular hybrid. You have to step it up to the 450h Plus, which is again considerably more expensive. But with all that said, if you guys are looking to purchase a compact luxury SUV, I do think this is a solid choice, but it's also just a middling choice. Remember, there are so many good options out there, like the Genesis GV70, the Acura RDX, which was just refreshed. There's also the German entries, the Audi, the BMW, the Mercedes, the Porsche. There are so many good options out there, and the Lexus kind of has a little bit more qualities this year to make it more appealing, but it's also not exactly the standout that I really was hoping it to be, except when you're looking at the tech department. I do think the new 14-inch screen works fairly well. But with all that said, if you guys are looking to purchase this vehicle, it's already on sale, and the new NX starts at just under $40,000 for the NX 250 with front-wheel drive. Add $2,000 if you guys want all-wheel drive. I would skip that engine entirely unless you just really don't care about having decent acceleration. You may as well just buy a RAV4 at that point. This model here starts at around $42,000. So it's about $2,000 more versus an all-wheel drive NX 250, which makes total sense to go for the 350. If you guys want the F-Sport package, it's an extra $5,000 on top of that. So this one here starts at $47,000. My tester, of course, with a lot of options that it has, the panoramic sunroof, the Mark Levinson sound system, the luxury package, the red paint. This one here stickers for just over $55,000, which sounds like a lot of money, I know. However, if you want to compare this to a lot of comparable competition, the Germans specifically are going to be slightly more expensive. The Genesis is going to be slightly cheaper than this, which is, again, my favorite in the segment. Also, the Acura RDX will be slightly cheaper, but the Lexus offers one of the most complete engine lineups in the family. So you can go from basically a base engine all the way up to a plug-in hybrid electrified option, which not all the competitors seem to offer. This engine here is a good mid-pack option. And if you guys get it with the right options, specifically the F-Sport package, it's certainly an attractive looking luxury crossover. With all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2022 Lexus NX 350 F-Sport. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.